I'm trying not to cry. I'm on the verge of tears. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh.
You're pregnant.
I can't believe it. Wow, where do I even begin? This camera has not seen the light of day for about 7 months now. As you can tell, I have been very absent on my channel, and throughout the past year and a half, I have been going through a lot personally, and I am here to explain it all. I don't even know where to begin, but I am pregnant. I am in so much disbelief that those words are even coming out of my mouth. I still don't believe it to this day, but science is telling me otherwise. So I am here to tell you my voyage and how I got here. I do want to set the stage that this video isn't going to be a glamorized version of me finding out I'm pregnant and telling my husband, because in reality that did not happen. If I'm being very transparent with you, it took us a really long time to get pregnant, and I do want to house my infertility journey with me finding out that I am pregnant in one video to really provide comfort and hope to people who are struggling that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So back in February of 2023, I discontinued my IUD because me and my husband decided that it was time to start a family. And we were so optimistic starting. I feel like everyone feels that way, and I don't want to sound arrogant, but when you're trying for a baby, you never think that you are going to be the one that struggles and that it's going to take you a while to get pregnant. And then once it doesn't happen the first month, it's very humbling. But then you start thinking, oh no, is something wrong? Do I need to go get checked out? We were timing everything correctly. I was using ovulation strips. I was very hyper fixated on tracking my cycle and tracking my ovulation, and we were trying all the way until about September, October. I think this was about 8 or 9 months now, and I decided to go to my OBGYN. This is when I told her that we've been trying, and my cycles weren't always the average 30 days. They did range between around 35 to 37 days. So she took the precautions to start to getting my blood work done, and the blood work actually came back that I had mild PCOS. So PCOS stands for polycystic ovary syndrome, and PCOS is a very big umbrella. There are different levels on the spectrum and where you can fall and what your exact issues are. And it found out that my AMH levels were a bit too high. I am not a scientist, so please take what I am saying with a grain of salt. I am going to dumb it down because that's the only way I can understand it. But essentially, I have too many eggs. For someone who doesn't know anything about infertility, you would think, oh, you have so many eggs, that's really, really great. However, because I have so many eggs, it's really difficult for during my cycle for those eggs to mature to the right size because they are squished all between all of these other eggs. Please, if I am miscommunicating, for anyone who is more knowledgeable in this subject, please do not come for me in the comments. But that is what I am understanding for what my specific case was. So that all happened in October. So then in November, I actually got an HSG exam. And what that is that they put dye up into your fallopian tubes to make sure that nothing is blocked. If you have a blocked fallopian tube and you're ovulating on the side that the tube is blocked, obviously no egg can actually drop. It will trigger ovulation, for example, on an ovulation strip. However, if a tube is blocked, there's no way for the egg to get down there and for the egg and the sperm to meet. God bless my case. All my fallopian tubes were open and everything else in my blood work came perfectly fine. All of the T's were crossed and I's were dotted. So then once that work all came back, my OBGYN referred me to a fertility clinic, and then that's when I started my whole infertility journey. So this was actually in December of 2023. I do want to caveat though that my biggest advice is to go with a fertility clinic that is very renowned and don't treat you like a number. They have a lot of empathy for you, because I found when researching online and talking in all of these fertility community chats that a lot of fertility clinics just treat you like a number, and that can be really discouraging and disheartening when you are trying to, you know, have a baby and they just don't care about you at the same emotional level that you're on. So I am very, very lucky that I got referred to a fertility clinic that was on my side. And also never be afraid to advocate for yourself, because I did go through some hurdles with my fertility clinic. Like one time they canceled my initial consultation and they wanted me to wait a whole other cycle to meet with them again. And when you're trying for a baby, each cycle counts and you literally miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So I advocated for myself and got a different doctor who was able to take me at another time, so I didn't miss a whole other cycle. So I met with the fertility doctor and we had a consultation, and she decided to put me for my first treatment cycle on letrozole. So there are two different kinds of fertility medications that you can take. You can take either letrozole or Clomid. She put me on letrozole because letrozole is actually known to be more successful for people who have PCOS, and then for people who have unexplained infertility, they usually get put on Clomid. I am also lucky that I got put on letrozole because the only side effects that come with letrozole are night sweats and headaches, where Clomid could actually affect you mentally. During the nights, I did have severe night sweats. Those were brutal. I literally had to sleep with an ice pack strapped around my body at night, but it's only 5 days the dose. It's very tolerable and 100% worth it when the end goal is having a baby. So it sucks in the moment, but looking back in hindsight, I would do this entire process all over again to feel how I feel right now. So the first treatment cycle, she put me on letrozole. She put me on the lowest dosage, which was 2.5 milligrams. I also did follicle monitoring. So they monitor my follicles every day or every other day, depending on what day of your cycle you're on after you complete the 5-day dosage. Then they tell you when to take a trigger shot. So a trigger shot stimulates ovulation. So when the follicles are at the right size, they will tell you to put the shot into your stomach, and this is done at home manually. It will force you to ovulate within 24 to 36 hours from there. And instead of an actual IUI where the doctor does the work for you and inserts the semen, it's called timed intercourse. So we were told to have sex that day, the next day, and the day after, 3 days in a row. And then you just have to wait your regular 2-week wait between the time of ovulation and when you can find out you are pregnant. So the issue was with the first cycle is that I only had 1 egg. And I know they say it only takes 1 egg, and I understand that, but the egg was actually a little bit over mature from where she really wanted it to be. Usually the average follicle sizes for when you are ready to ovulate are between 18 to 22 millimeters. So by the time I took the trigger shot, it was already 26 millimeters. So by the time it dropped, it probably grew and then it was over mature. So when an egg is not at its ideal size, obviously the cycle will not be successful. So I already knew going into it that the first treatment round wasn't going to work, and it takes a lot of trial and error, these things. So then the next month comes, and this is January into February cycle. Yeah, I think that's where we are right now. This cycle, she actually doubled my dosage of letrozole. So we went from 2.5 to 5 milligrams. We did the follicle monitoring, trigger shot, and we did an IUI. I actually had 2 eggs dropping, and she was warning me about that there was a 10% chance of twins, and obviously this just brought up my expectations. When I found out that this cycle didn't work, it was like a dagger in the heart. This cycle hurt the most for me, and I did record some really vulnerable moments here that I will show you. But the first cycle, I really wasn't emotional. I was actually just a little bit more excited to get this process going. And then the next month, when everything was so ideal, I was devastated. So I'm going to roll those clips right here. I just don't know why. I'm trying not to cry. I'm on the verge of tears. I feel them brewing. I have been crying for 3 days straight now. Today's Thursday. I have been deeply emotional and sad since Monday, and I haven't cried yet today. And every time I feel the urge to cry, I am just so exhausted that I don't even have the energy to cry. My eyes just start getting watery. If you could tell, they are glistening right now, but nothing can come out anymore. This is just Diet Coke, by the way. which I probably shouldn't be drinking. If you couldn't tell by my appearance, I have been a wreck. I am so lucky I got in a full body shower on Tuesday because my body hasn't probably seen the water since then. So on Monday, found out through a pregnancy at-home test that our second medicated treatment cycle and first IUI did not work. And I came in that cycle with so much hope. And I was allowing myself, you can tell I'm starting to cry, to be so blissfully hopeful because I had 2 eggs. They told me I had a 10% chance of twins. Everything aligned, and it obviously didn't work. So I tested at home on Monday, and as I was testing, I knew in my heart it was negative. I wasn't being irrational and testing too early. I was getting blood drawn Wednesday morning anyway. So I was just devastated, cried all day. I didn't go to the gym. I just indulged. Then yesterday, I had to wake up at 8 a.m. to go to get my blood drawn just to validate that I had a negative pregnancy test. Then we started having discussions about IVF, and that is just such a whole heavy weight on my shoulder because going to do an IUI this month and next month, if it doesn't work, we are going to take a break in April. Right now it's February, and then start IVF in May. So to start IVF 3 months from now, which is a very daunting, you have to start the process now and start getting things approved by insurance and getting all of your ducks in a row. You need procedures to be done, and they need a lot of data to back up why insurance should approve your IVF cycle. And I don't know if anyone will ever see this video. This is just how I'm feeling right now. And I recorded myself in a really vulnerable state on Monday. It was the first time I've ever recorded myself crying. And I looked back at the video and I'm crying for that girl in the video. Even though I know that's me in the video, and I know that that's me right now, but I look at that video and I'm crying hysterically, thinking about that girl, and I want to give her a huge hug. I feel so bad for her. Throughout this entire experience, the last 5 months since I've started this whole infertility journey, I have been exuding happiness so much for other people. I feel like I'm at a breaking point and just need to kind of feel bad for myself. So as you can tell from that footage, my head wasn't in a good space. I actually canceled all of my plans with my friends that I had over a 2 to 3 week span. I didn't want to be near anybody. I just knew that I was going to start another cycle and we were going to have to do it all over again. Trying to conceive has a lot of ebbs and flows. It's a huge cycle of having hope and then just getting discouraged and just having to do the process all over again. So the next cycle, this was going into February to March. This was our 3rd treatment cycle and our 2nd IUI. This time I was going into it with a different mindset. I really was hopeful this cycle as well, but I really didn't want to set myself up for failure like I did the month before because that was just very unhealthy for me physically and mentally. I went into the cycle with really no expectations, and this time I actually had 3 eggs dropping, and I really couldn't let myself believe that it was going to work because the whole cycle prior, everything lined up, and obviously that didn't work out. So I did record myself actually taking a test this cycle, and I will insert that right now, but you can tell my reaction. I have no emotion with it. I didn't want to tie myself to this pregnancy test and associate feelings with a negative result because the month before really hit me hard, and I just didn't want that to happen again. So that's this footage right now. I feel like I'm gonna vom figuratively and literally. We need to wait 5 minutes. I just don't even want to look. My heart is thumping. This is the last thing I want to do on the face of the planet. I just don't think I am. I have no hope. The ball's been in our court last month and that failed us. I don't feel tears though, which I think is a good thing. If it is negative, I might not have a bad day today. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, no. I knew it. So as you could tell, I was very monotoned. I had no emotion, and I pretty much just went on with my day. Obviously, I felt hurt. I knew that we were just gonna have to go and try again, but I think I was really holding on to the next step that we were moving forward with, which was IVF. So the next round of our treatment cycle, this was the March to April, I took the letrozole, I did the trigger shot, and I did the IUI. And compared to my 2 previous rounds, actually went awry. I had 3 eggs, 2 were 16 millimeters, 1 was 26 millimeters. So I just went into it thinking it just wasn't going to work again. And honestly, this entire cycle, I was so focused on starting IVF because I actually was going to start IVF in April. My mind was busy elsewhere, and with my follicle sizes and then starting IVF, I really just didn't even have time to think that this cycle would even work. And lo and behold, it was the cycle that worked for us. I am still dumbfounded that I am pregnant and that it worked. I really do think it's because it was the cycle that I was the least stressed, because I was so excited about IVF. I actually ordered all my IVF medications because I found out 5 or 6 days before I was going to start IVF that I was pregnant, and I was not expecting it at all. It really is crazy how your mind and body work, and when you are the least stressed, it works. And you can't just tell yourself, oh, I'm not gonna be stressed, because that's just gonna put more pressure on yourself. Something has to actually happen in your life for you not to be stressed anymore. My mom was telling me, why are you so calm? Like, you're not even talking about this working or not, or counting your days post ovulation and counting down the days until you can test. And I ended up finding out that I was pregnant. I actually found out in the beginning of April. My husband and I had little cheap tests, like the 50-cent ones that you can get. I had 1 cheapy test left, and then I had 2 expensive, I think it was like first response tests. And I was like, let's just take a test, confirm it's negative, and then I can just move on and starting IVF. And he's like, okay. He goes into his office. I think he was like playing video games or whatever. It was nothing special or intimate. It was literally me alone dipping a strip into a sample of my urine. I look at the test, stark white negative. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't have a camera out. I didn't have anything recorded. It was literally me just confirming that the test was going to be negative. Leave the test there. Go back 5-10 minutes later, I'm just passing by the table, and I see something that wasn't there before. And usually these strip tests are quite sensitive, so I thought it was an indent line. And so then I go to the window, I'm putting the strip to the light, and I swear I could see a line. Alec, come here, can you see this line? I can see this line. And he's like, Tina, I see a line, but you need to take an actual test because I can't confirm that you're pregnant by looking at this very faint, faded outline. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So then this time I pulled out the camera, and then I took a first response, and this is that footage.
Is this one that says pregnant or not pregnant?
No, I think it's too early for that. This is gonna have 2 lines. I swear there's a line on that one. This is gonna be more accurate, hopefully.
Is this?
I think the first response early result is more sensitive.
How long do you have to wait?
5-ish minutes. So the control line already popped up.
What?
I look at another line's popping up. I'm gonna start to cry.
Is it popping up or is
Oh
it?
my god, Alec.
Is this? No, it's not. Are you sure? Wait, no way. I almost don't believe it. I almost don't believe this. Oh.
Oh my god.
Because of how many negatives, I was like, are you actually pregnant? No, I really don't believe it.
Alec, that is very clear. I cannot even compartmentalize the magnitude of what just happened. So as you can tell from that footage, I had a lot of anxiety and I was shell-shocked. It looked like from the way my body was moving that I was hysterically crying, but no tears ever came out of my face. I was so utterly shocked that a positive test came up on that test, because past year and a half, I've never seen something like that I was speechless. So then a couple of days later, I went in to go get blood work. I was actually supposed to go get blood work and get an ultrasound to begin IVF and make sure everything looked clear, and they confirmed that I was pregnant. So I actually have footage of that call right here, and I'll roll that clip.
Hey. How are you?
Good, how are you?
You're pregnant.
I can't believe it.
And the number is amazing. 137 is the beta. Great number to start. You're 4 weeks pregnant.
Am I exactly 4 weeks today?
You're exactly 4 weeks. So the next step is you come in on Friday.
Okay.
And we repeat the level and make sure it's going up nicely.
And then I went back in 2 days later and my levels doubled. And then I went back 5 days later. I saw a little yolk sac, and then I went in on week 6, and then I just went in on week 7 and confirmed that there was a very strong heartbeat. It has definitely been a whirlwind and a journey. My due date is in December. I actually found out my due date literally the day I went in to get my blood work, because they know exactly when my IUI was done and when I ovulated, so that is how they track back when your due date is. And I am so lucky to have this little miracle Christmas baby. I am overfilled with joy, gratefulness, and I pray to God every single day, thanking him for the miracle that he brought upon me, because honestly, for a second there during this entire journey, I just thought I wasn't fit to be a mom, and my purpose here wasn't to be a mom. And you can definitely get caught up in your own intrusive thoughts. So I do want to let you know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I really hope you guys are excited for me to come back. I have finally feel like I have purpose on YouTube again. I know it's crazy, but when you're struggling so much, you have no desire to pull out a camera. And I'm just so excited about this new endeavor of being a mom and sharing my entire journey with you. So thank you so much for sticking around and watching this whole video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.